Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Well, if you've been paying attention to things are getting kind of scary. For example, Idaho passes through this little doozy into their new bathroom ban, where a transgender person can be sent to life in prison for using a bathroom. Life in prison? Drunks, rapists, murderers, they can be let out in a few years. But a trans person, life in prison for using a bathroom? These draconian steps are just scratching the surface, and they're about to get worse. Earlier today, I watched I read some articles regarding the IOC's decision, their heavy-handed decision to make a big campaign about that they are banning trans women from international Olympic competition. But here's the thing. While, particularly on Facebook, the comments, my God, are loaded with angry, bitter men and some bitter women as well, who have absolutely no idea who we are. They have absolutely no idea what they're talking about, but they're all cheering. They're saying we shouldn't even be allowed to exist. And this is kind of sad. All this effort, because in the Olympiads, 120 some years in existence, they've only ever had one trans athlete. I mean, seriously, all this effort for one. And if that weren't enough, the evil Trump regime went to the United Nations and tried to bully the United Nations into erasing trans people's existence by pushing their definition of what gender is. They're locked in a binary, this man is a woman thing. You know, it's like, well, if you've really been out in the world, you'll know that it's a little more diverse than that. But there are just this growing chorus of people who jumped on the hate wagon. And I've noticed, even here where I'm at, I'm in a blue state, okay? I'm in a big liberal city. In fact, I'm in a big tourist area where, for the most part, I've felt safe. But because I'm in a tourist area, I do run into tourists, and I've noticed men are getting a little aggressive. They're looking for any opportunity to engage me. And even sometimes the women they're with, if they're not holding their heads low, they're looking at me with scrutiny. That's kind of crazy because, hey, you know, who am I going to, I mean, maybe to some of these people I might look ridiculous. Who cares? I don't really care. I dress for me, you know, again. Some of you got to grow up with this shit. I didn't, you know, that's the fact. But people are looking at me strange, not like before. It's like they're looking at a dead person, and it bothers me. It seems like my whole life is turning into one dystopian Nine Inch Nails song. As much as I love Nine Inch Nails, I don't want that to be my life, you know. And I worry. My kids are worried. My daughter has a lot of panic attacks. I mean, my wife doesn't even want to discuss the subject. So I went to a group last night where we get to hash out our things. And normally it's about 15, 18, 20 people show up. This time it was a packed house. It's almost 40 people. And everybody had the same mood. Quiet, somber. And when they spoke in generalisms and often had difficulty articulating what they wanted to say, but it was very clear. The anxiety, the stress, and the toll it's taking on many of us has just been too much. I myself, I've been trying to cope as best I can. I have enough problems right now being homeless and struggling every day to survive, keep my kids from having to sleep in a car or in a tent or under a bridge. I mean, it's a monumental effort. I currently have DFS is trying to take my kids away again for the seventh time. I probably hold the California record for attempts to portray me as some kind of bad parent, or, I mean, I'm being held to a standard that's greater than a person that has their own washer and dryer and lives in a cul-de-sac, owns their own house. I'm living out of motels right now, going from one place to another every few days, and it's very stressful. You know, we have had to raise a sickening amount of money just to survive, so our autistic child wouldn't have to sleep in, like I said, a car or on the street. Make sure they had a bed every night, make sure they had food, make sure they had clothes. It's been very difficult. And instead of commending me for raising over $30,000 to make this happen, I'm being judged to a degree. They're trying to frame me as a criminal because I didn't wash enough underwear in 1 week. It's kind of crazy. But again, trans people we're being judged. We are being demonized. We're being dehumanized. And people who have something to say often don't know what they're saying. They don't know anything about us. They've never met us. And the claims get pretty ridiculous. I mean, I read some woman today, some well-prominent right-wing woman, who, aside from being a tool of the patriarchy, is blaming the failure of her dental career. Being a dentist. Okay, I have no idea what has to do with what, but she's blaming it on trans people. What the fuck is that? I mean, it's crazy. It's like when the first couple days Trump was in office for the second time, there was an aerial collision between a helicopter and a plane trying to land at Ronald Reagan Airport. And instantly, because that guard unit flew UH-60s, they had one pilot that happened to transition from male to female, transgender officer, and still active. They tried to blame it on that person. They weren't even flying that night, but yet they doxed him, and they're still blaming him. I mean, him, her, she, they. I don't know their name. I recall that I believe it was male to female trans. It's getting to the point, like I said, I was with this group last night. Everyone was having trouble speaking. Everyone was uneasy. And deep down, a lot of us are fucking scared. The threats, these big fucking men, the same fucking man that said we would never be men. Now try to say we'll never be women. It's like, you can't have it both ways. I've legally changed everything over. And they're trying to say this is mental illness. Well, if this is mental illness, then the state of California, the judges, the court systems, and everybody that I've done every step of the process legally is no. That mental illness comes from our accusers, their obsession with genitalia, and it's funny. They have absolutely no evidence to prove that we go into women's bathrooms to do heinous crimes. There's no evidence of that. It's usually straight men that do those things, not us. Like I said, we go in, we do our business. At the conclusion, we may wash our hands, adjust our makeup, maybe adjust our outfit, adjust our hair, and then we leave. We don't look at anybody, we don't talk to anybody, we don't linger. We're not there to get jollies off because frankly, most of us can't get it. If we tried, we don't have the ability. This idea that we could rape sexually assault a woman is ludicrous. Most of us do not have the ability, and I about guarantee you almost none of us have the desire for anything like that. Most of us are victims of sexual assault or rape. I myself have been sexually assaulted twice. And it's part of a women's club that I am officially a member of that no one wants to be a member of. It's traumatizing. And the language, the hate, the vitriol, my God, it's just getting out of hand. It's a matter of time before people feel so emboldened that they'll start finding where some of us live and start breaking down doors and mobs and start lynching people. I'm frightened of that. I'm supposed to get breast augmentation to fix, the botched job they did during my detransition period. I'm terrified of the idea of a nice agent deliberately shooting one of my boobs so I get cancer if the silicone comes out or it gets in my bloodstream, or I only have one breast and the other one is destroyed and I have to now have surgery that I cannot afford to repair the damage that these assholes have done. That's a terrifying thought. The thought that terrifies me more is this idea that these men who all called us girls our entire lives and now say we'll never be a woman. You motherfuckers don't get to have it both ways. You didn't want us part of your club, so quit pretending you want us back. Because we were never like you. I love when they talk about men in women's sports, men in women's spaces or women's bathrooms. Take a look. I'm wearing a fucking doll dress, for fuck's sake. Yeah. I'm also wearing ruffled panties, okay? I wear makeup. My voice has gotten very high. I've lost maybe about half an inch in height. I've lost a lot of muscle mass. I am the last person in the world that could pose a threat to anybody. But yet these fucking men, they're just gearing up. They want violence. All of them, they want violence. And I don't understand it. I thought when I got to near my 60s that I would be free from the pissing game. I thought when I transitioned, I wouldn't have to deal with the world of men anymore. But here they are. They're not only here, but they've convinced a few women to work on their side. I mean, some prominent woman from the U.S. had followed the same steps that evangelicals have been doing for the last 20 years, going around the world, stirring up trouble for trans people, gay people, what have you. Spreading their poison. It always comes from this country, always from fucking white people, usually white men. And this woman went to try to poison Iceland. Well, they knew better. And she didn't succeed. Just like the Trump team didn't succeed at the United Nations. They're like, no. I don't understand the why. People don't have health care. They can't afford food. They can't afford gasoline. Trump is fighting a war and bankrupting the country. The Treasury said we're insolvent now because of this asshole. I mean, whoever the fuck thought it was a good idea to trust a man, the only man in the world who could bankrupt a casino, to be in charge of the U.S. economy, you all are a bunch of fucking idiots. And you're going to say I'm the one that's mentally ill? No. I don't think so, darlings. You're saying, and I'll say this once again, I'm a femme, okay? Trans women, for the most part, are women, okay? I don't particularly call myself one because I'm a femme, okay? That has its own definition. And I don't have to explain it to you. I mean, but it should be obvious, my sense of style and my mannerisms are a little on the hyper femme side. And I'm generally drawn to women that are Also of that same vein. In fact, I'm married to one. In fact, I have children with her. So you people keep saying, stay away from children. I have my own children. In fact, you motherfuckers are trying to take them away from me, and that's fucked up. Again, all these fucking draconian laws, they're designed to punish people. You realize that almost half a million transgender Americans have had to flee their homes from red states. They're all on the West Coast now. A good number of them up in the Seattle area. I met a trans lady a year younger than me, another Gen Xer, who was telling me they were involved with the effort to help relocate people. And because the situation's become so dire that many of them are homeless or, penniless, and they all meet in a park to get supplies, and the numbers keep growing and the people are becoming more desperate. I often tell younger trans people who ask, why did this happen to me? I say, it didn't happen. You were chosen for this life. The ancients knew that we brought balance to the world, and the further and the more this world rejects us and tries to harm us, the more imbalanced this world becomes. That's no accident. But, hey, I mean, you can't see atoms. You can't see molecules, but they're there, So what? You don't want to see anything beyond a male or female. I mean, we're all female in the womb, but for whatever reason, we have been born with a sense of either being in the wrong body, or that we have an inner conflict between two distinct, I don't want to say personas, but it's like there's two people inside, and one is one male, one's the other female, and they're looking for a happy medium. That's how it was for me for the longest time, until I understood it, and living as a transgender American, or really anywhere, really, it's hard. It's been hard. We deal with family rejection, we deal with bullying, we deal with a lot of hateful shit our entire lives. And still, people are trying to shame us, because they believe this, they really believe this is some sort of learned behavior, that if you shame us, we'll go back to being men. No. They'll have to fucking kill me, because I'm not going back. Fuck that shit. I did it once and I hated every second of it. As that Ninth Circuit judge that wants to say states should be compelled to encourage trans people to appreciate their birth gender. I fucking hated every second of being male. And I knew that the girl inside was fighting. She just wanted to wear the pretty party dress, And now, late in my life, I finally get to. But just as my party was just getting underway, these assholes, I thought I lived in grade school, they're back. They're angry. They're insane. And they've convinced a few women to join them. And it's really sad. A lot of us are artists, sound engineers, computer engineers, poets, performers, dancers, some of the best among us, composers. World without us, you have no idea. You have absolutely no idea. But then, like John Cleese used to say, well, that's just that sort of thing we can expect from Philistines of this sort. And that's what these guys are. A bunch of knuckle-dragging Cro-Mags that are so insecure about who they are. They had to put laws in place to protect their sense of status, their sense of being. I don't need a law that has to protect me from not being, cisgender. I mean, that's ridiculous. I don't need to require that. No more than I require anyone to understand what it is to be trans. I don't, realize that you guys have poisoned the word so bad. Some of us are just hate using the word. I mean, that's in part why I prefer just calling myself a femme, because, I have some surgical aspirations, and some of them are not on the stereotypical palette. And but as I argue with people, I say, hey, I have an appendix. Don't do anything. It's a holdover from another period. But it's part of me. I don't feel the need to remove it. It's not bother me. It doesn't bother me. And if you're actually trying to look for it, there's something wrong with you. If you're one of these people that really thinks that you're going to go into a bathroom stall and try to look under the stall to see a person's gender, there's something wrong with you. If you're going to obsess with trans people and think you're seeing trans everywhere and you're looking for one just so you can unload, there's something wrong with you. If you are cheering for the deaths of you're taunting grieving mothers whose children have committed suicide because of you, there's something wrong with you. And worse than anything else, I mean, if you're just all your days, you're spending your time and effort coming at us and ignoring everything else that's going on. You're ignoring the Epstein files, the fact that the president is a rapist and a child molester. You're ignoring these things. You're ignoring that we're wasting $2 billion a day on a war of choice. People are getting killed around the world. You're ignoring all that. There's something wrong with you. But worse, I think the worst thing, worse than the harassment, the bullying, and the misinformation, is the people out there that are looking the other way, not taking this, what they're calling transgenocide, which could very well happen. They're not taking it seriously. Or they're ignoring it completely because, like the German poem said, they came from the communists, but I wasn't a communist. Yeah, if you're one of those people, there's something wrong with you. Cisgender people who hate us, who have been convinced to hate us, who didn't even know we existed 3 years ago, have now suddenly have got their armchair PhDs and psychology degrees, love to say that we're mentally ill, that we need to get help. We don't need to get help. We get our hormones, we get our therapies, we're good. It validates who we've always known we were. You want to take away all that, of course. To what end? And really, to what benefit? It does not change your life. It does not affect your life. Most of you will never encounter one of us in the wild. And if you did, chances are you might not notice us. We tend to blend in. And most of us don't want the attention. We just want to live our lives. I was living a rather normal life until this bullshit started. And yeah, Elon Musk, you will never be forgiven for this shit. Neither do you, Peter Thiel. You're involved with this crap. You guys got Donald Junk to come after us, and now that man is obsessed with us. And again, the men who do this are the same men who, when they talk about us, they talk about us as if we're their equals. We've never been their equals. Like I said, I was called a girl almost my entire life. And now that I'm legally one, you want to say, oh, I'll never be one? Well, you don't get to have it both ways. And I don't give a rat's ass what you think. You can say whatever, in privacy of your own home. I don't care. It's okay, But you're setting an awful example for your children. You're doing what Germans did 100 years ago. And even the children of that generation are still paying that price. You are doing your children a big disservice by teaching them that it's okay to hate, to dehumanize people who you've never met, you know next to nothing about. and you're just repeating talking points from people who also don't know anything about us either, but have decided we're an easy target. Again, they originally went after drag queens, but they couldn't find any, so they chose us. And it is sad. It really is sad to see our country echo the Third Reich. You know, but as I remind everyone, things didn't end well for them. And these people that are cheering for our deaths, it's not going to end well for them either. Or the people that may very well be the cause of it. And I hope not. I have a lot to live for. I'm still raising 2 children. I have yet to have the best years with my wife. So much I want to do in this life. So much music I want to write. I want to make music video. I want to still do another stage show. You know, maybe write another book. Yeah, I've written 14 of them. So much. I've always wanted to see Kyoto. It's been a dream of mine. Maybe Paris. But right now, because of Donald Trump's policies, I'm forbidden from getting a passport unless I agree to a passport that will undoubtedly out me and create a lot of difficult problems and probably result in either my arrest or physical harm, dangerous situations abroad, and also possibly in the return home to this country. Trump has instructed ICE to arrest any suspected trans person, and they're planning to do a roundup. They say April 12th. I have no idea. I know a lot of us are going to be laying low, and not because we're hiding. It's because, you know, this is taking a toll on us. It really is. All this hate and these outrageous lies, you know. I mean, it was easy to ignore in the beginning, but it's awful. You know, imagine the nicest person you know and somebody you knew who didn't know them is now trashing them and trying to portray them as this evil monster that's a threat to everyone. You know, the United States considers us a cosmic threat, whatever the fuck that means. I mean, yeah, UFOs come from other places, or, you know, they come here a lot, you know. Hell, I've seen them. I'm the cosmic threat. They're not. Please. I say we're the greatest threat to national security. Last I checked, ISIS was, or Al Qaeda, or whatever. You know, you're trying to say I'm more dangerous than Al Qaeda? Okay, if I'm so goddamn dangerous, then why don't you leave me the fuck alone? Stay away from me. Stay away from all my trans sisters and my trans brothers out there who've done you no wrong. We're not suffering from no mental illness. That illness is yours. What you hear is all projection. Projection from the party of pedophiles, the party of rapists, the party of misogyny, the party of patriarchy. That's, at this very moment, still working to take away the vote from women. And eventually they'll go for black people. I mean, they were already trying to not only undo gay marriage, but they want to undo biracial marriage. But they've had its co-author, dig this, has carved himself a little provision out for himself. Clarence Thomas, Long Dong Silver. Yeah, Anita Hill warned us about you, and I believe her. Fortunately, Congress was a whole bunch of fucking men back then. And, you know, they always say bros before hoes, you know. Well, she was no hoe. But, man, what you do with the Supreme Court now, that's prostitution. What you've allowed this president to do, that's prostitution. And again, we're not the problem. You are. I don't expect to change much in the way of minds, but by chance somebody walks away from this and go, you know, I haven't heard from a trans person before, and now I've got to hear from one, and they're saying, you know, you're scared, you're suffering, and they've done nothing to deserve it. And it's only a matter of time before, I mean, as it stands in a normal year, about 42 to 50 trans women, most of them women of color or indigenous, are murdered every year, and always by men. White, cis males. Oh, you hate that cis word, but you like to call us every fucking name in the book. Well, okay. It's a great line from that movie, The Craze. Men are born children. They grow up to be children. They live their whole lives as children. Eventually, inevitably, they die as children. Unfortunately, we're dealing with the great school bullies, but the real problem is not so much the obvious threats, but it's the people who say can't be bothered. They've listened to propaganda and they're just enough, even though they say they're not for it. They're not willing to speak up. They're not willing to do anything. They're perfectly content to watch us disappear. They'll plug their ears and go la 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 la. I don't see no, hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. But yet, in doing nothing, you have become evil. I haven't just come to that, but yeah, it's not looking good. And I don't know what my chances are. Sometime in the coming days, I will be going to see, the Ren Reader, and ask what the seer sees. As unusual, as I did when this started. I am Ellen Ripley. I'm aboard a doomed vessel, a commercial towing vessel, Nostromo. There is a hostile alien species aboard my ship. What are my chances? It's a question I have to ask. Just like the talk I have to have with my son and my daughter, who are not prepared to lose me. Yeah. They don't call me daddy too much these days, but that's okay. Most people can't handle it. They don't want to lose their Ava. I'm not the perfect parent. Nobody is, really. But they know I love them, and they love me back. And it's just sad, so many people out there who have something negative to say. You can't just love people or allow them live. That's a real shame. You're not going to make the world better by killing us or getting rid of people you think are the cause of all your problems. No. If you have the power to fix it, you should fix it, not blame other people. You learn nothing from the Holocaust, and that's why Republicans love to go to education. They don't want people to know. Keep them stupid, they say, so they'll vote Republican. They'll vote by their fears or by their pocketbook. And that is sad. That's like the American Negro College Fund used to say, a mind can be a terrible waste. And that's my rant for tonight. Pray for us. Speak up. If you're a true ally, by all means, participate. But don't stand for this. Do not allow us to go out like that. We're counting on you, America. We've never asked anything of you before. But that time is now. We need you to speak up. We need you to be human beings, and more importantly, be the Americans we were always taught how good they were. Not this hateful version, this vile extension of Donald Trump's evil personality and the bitterness of Elon Musk. And Jenna Wilson, if you're watching this, hey, we're not blaming you for this, okay? It's about you, but we're not blaming you. But please, do speak up. Please. Because while nothing's gonna happen to you, the rest of us are gonna pay for this shit, okay? Least you can do, speak up. All right, folks, that's my rant. Again, pray for us. Be good to each other. If you're fortunate enough to have known me, I will genuinely say I love you all. Good night.